Welcome back. Well, yes, we'll go back to the fight against corruption.
Yes.
So you have a question?
No, Dr. Junaidu, you were saying something, but let's just take it back to Mr. Keyamo. We're talking about the level of prosecution of these cases of corruption. You said, if you have your facts, if you have a fact, you can call them a thief. But let's look at what we have in the country. Does the process so far engender confidence that the fight against corruption is on course?
When you talk about the process, there are two: the administrative process before the judicial process. So you have to be clear as to what you're talking about. But you know, government,
the administrative to a large extent
in the whole chain of criminal justice. You start from arrest, invitation, prosecution, interrogation, investigation, and then finally prosecution, which goes to the judicial arm of government. But really, you know, from the angle of the executive, I don't think we can fault too much what has happened so far, because the whole aim of criminal justice are two: one, conviction; two, recoveries. So ensure that those who have taken the monies, even though they are convicted, in some cases they are convicted, but you don't get your monies back for the masses of the country, you know, and people will cry foul, say, what does that, you know, where does that lead us? Some people say, well, it's a slap on the wrist if you send people to jail for 6 months and say they should pay some fine, some ridiculous fine. So this government, its own emphasis has been on recoveries. And you can be sure that there is no government in the history of this country, and I say that with all sense of responsibility, without trying to be sycophantic, that has recovered as much money from people who have looted our common treasury as much as this government. In fact, the Secretary General of the Commonwealth said so. Last week, she visited here last week and commended Nigeria. In fact, they helped Nigeria to recover some $3 billion somewhere to come on with it. And we don't know where it came from, but they said she confirmed that they have also assisted Nigeria to recover some $3 billion somewhere. And she said, the Secretary General of Commonwealth said, look, the amount that she was overawed by the anti-corruption posture of this government and their efforts so far, and that they have not seen this type of recoveries in Nigeria. And that's international comment, not local one, except in local politics. And can I just finish?
Okay.
And since we are talking about international, you know, ratings of Nigeria, it's not only TI2 that has the exclusive, you know, right to rate countries too. There are other people who have rated us. Other countries that have rated us too. Other countries have commended the fight against corruption.
Mr. Keyamo, I will have to come in here. The ratings, international ratings count. Yes. But the ratings amongst your citizens also count a great deal.
Even
Let me
more,
bring it to you,
even
Dr.
more.
Obi.
And we're talking of perception.
We'll come back to the issue of perception.
Okay.
Dr. Obi, would you agree with what he said, that there's no way you can fault this government in the fight against corruption?
Recovery, no, I didn't
in the
say
recovery,
so.
the area of recovery.
They've done well. I didn't say so.
You know, I was a fan of the administration when it started on the anti-corruption agenda. In fact, I was like, let's just allow this government to carry through the anti-corruption agenda, especially in terms of punishing corruption. Because to fight corruption, it's a tripod. The first thing is the leader, political leader, expresses a determination to fight corruption and then models the behavior for all the citizens to say, this is cancer. We all have to change the direction and tolerance of corruption in our country. So moral revolution. Second part is prevention of corruption, preventing opportunities for corruption to happen. So all of the reforms and systemic changes and institutional changes. And then the third one is these judicial proceedings to punish corruption. When I looked at the judicial activities to punish corruption, it appeared to have been going in the right direction until the government itself undermined its fight against corruption on the judicial side. How did it do that? You know, you saw the bickering that began to happen between the key institution for fighting corruption, EFCC, and an organ of the presidency, the SSS. So what it did was that it cast doubt on the legitimacy of those who were fighting corruption. And not only did he do this, but what then happened was the consistent signaling became that you saw people, there were many people in other parties who had anti-corruption cases who were found not to, in the public domain, it appeared as if moving from one party to another party changed the attitude toward the cases that these people were up against. And so for us in Transparency International, it actually does matter what kind of signaling a government is giving on punishing corruption. The punishment of corruption through conclusive prosecution is a key indicator. I don't think that there's much to show for that. There's the minor case, there's the SGF case, the former SGF case, there is the NIA case. I mean, even just those ones that happened under the administration, what has happened with them? And then for us to say that we have a comprehensive agenda to tackle corruption in this country by a government like the one that puts it on the front burner, we need to also look at what happened in terms of economic policy. I believe the president said this with himself. He said at one of the events where he was asked, he said, oh, some directors at Central Bank have been making money as a result of the exchange rate issues that we have had, and we're going to deal with it. Has the president subsequently shown us who these people are? What has happened to them? The exchange rate policy, the level of corruption it brought, we're yet going to see it someday. And then when you look at the subsidy regime at the NNPC, we don't know what's going on at the NNPC. These issues of having the right kinds of policies to prevent opportunities for corruption is even much more important than the punishment. Because when you do those ones, you reduce the number of people that you're going to need to take to the courts. So when you assess the total package of anti-corruption, it falls short.